Good day to you and welcome to Bookends. Thanks for stopping in to view this program. Today, I am Jackie Ewing, as I was yesterday and will be tomorrow, and I am here to interview a very good friend of mine, James Freeman, who I've already declared a polymath in the creative arts. He writes, he composes, he sings, he is a poet and a playwright. And this is being done in honor of the publication of his book of poems, Questiny. Poems over the years, and indeed they were over the years. And first question I'd like to ask you, Jim, what prompted you to do this book now?
Well, the reason I decided to publish a book now was 6 months ago I was rummaging through my desk drawers thinking I've got to clean my place up. And in the bottom of the drawer I found this thing. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? It's poems that I wrote 65 years ago and I still have it. And I thought, I should put this on Amazon before I lose the poems. So while I was at it, I decided I should add lyrics from bands that I was in, because they're also poems. And then I also wrote a whole lot of poems when I was here in Rossmore, so I put those in there too. And then they put on the cover they put my self-portrait, so then I decided why not put the paintings along with the poems.
That's
a great idea. And that's how that happened.
Yeah, so you were a very young poet if this is a 65-year effort.
You know, I don't remember being a poet. My father was a lawyer. He wrote briefs. They weren't very poetic. I do remember, I think one time I heard someone recite The Raven. That was about it. So I don't know where they came from.
Well, The Raven's a good start. I like that as well. So, great start. And what made you so resourceful in finding this and being able to bring all these poems together?
Well, the answer to that's very simple. Hoarding.
Hoarding? Well, Questiny, I'm finding, certainly contains far more than just the poems of a young person. It carries us on throughout your life, doesn't it not?
Yeah, the first section, which is called Youth, contains the poems that I found and some of my early Stanford poems, even before I decided to become a creative writing major at Stanford. And to be honest, I wrote pretty much all the poems during finals week to get out of studying. That's why I wrote them.
Okay. The first poem in the book, and one that I particularly liked, was about your grandfather's death. Struck me as an odd subject for a teenager. How did that come about?
Well, my grandfather was an Orthodox rabbi and a kosher butcher from Germany. And they moved to Chicago, immigrated. And I remember going to a synagogue when I was very little, but he got sick and came to live with us for about a year when I was maybe 8 years old. And then he died. And when he died, all religious training stopped.
Indeed.
So I was never bar mitzvahed. I don't know any of the holidays. I can't speak Hebrew. My mother immediately started serving me and my older brother a pound of bacon for breakfast every morning. And I think you could say that she was a Jewish cynic. So her comment about the kosher was, they take a perfectly good piece of meat and they soak it in salt for 3 days and ruin it. So that's how I grew up. So I didn't have the religious training, and I guess I was thinking about his death, and I sort of had my own take on it.
Yeah. Would you read the poem for us? I was hoping you might.
This is the very first poem I wrote. I don't remember writing it, to be honest, but here we go. Grandfather's Death. Those green grasshopper days had long gone by, when leaves were naught but crunchy piles delight, and wavy seas of yellow sun were sky, while dancing moonlight window panes were night. Then he could never know that through the years the sun would boil away and skies would freeze, that grasshoppers must face those deathly fears, that comes when soft snow covers up the leaves. His body lies in peace, calm, motionless. His still white lips reveal a pleasant smile. For he must wait no more for future rest, while we bemoan death robbed him of a while. We fools who cry, lament, and cannot see that death was then the end that he desired. For future times he had no reverie, still tragically despondent he expired. Life, not death, created his great grief. He would have been as sad had he still lived. The tragedy was not that he must die, but that his happy days had long gone by.
It's wonderful, wonderful. I'm kind of intrigued by the title of your poem book, Questiny. Can you tell me how that came to be?
Well, it was very simple. It's a quest for meaning and also questions about where my journey was taking me. And it struck me that I could just combine them and make the word Questiny. I kind of like it because it sort of rhymes.
I like it a lot. Well, I find this younger period in your poems quite fascinating because it combines your sense of innocence with some foreboding, perhaps, a little darker perceptions, and you certainly bear your youthful heart. I'm finding some existential angst, as we say. And for instance, the Heat of the Day poem and birthday wishes, and the one entitled simply Thanks. They have some disturbing images, but I always find a ray of hope in what you write as well.
Yes, I think there's a kind of a satire about it. And I think the reason is I was somewhat alienated. I was the youngest in my family. It was a very patriarchal family. My one brother was 6 years older than me, and my mother was very passive. And I had a second set of parents, which were the domestic couple that lived with us. They were a black couple from Louisiana, and I spent a lot of time with them. On Friday nights, the three of us would go up to the attic to their bedroom and lie in bed together and watch Gunsmoke and Have Gun Will Travel. And sometimes we went with their friends. They had friends also from Louisiana to a little bowling alley on the wrong side of tracks. And it was really like a shack from Louisiana. It had 2 lanes. The lanes were so grooved that you had to play the slope, and if you lofted a ball, half the pins would fall over because they were so rounded on the bottom. So I really related to them, and it brought up a lot of questions, and I guess the dark images came from that.
Yeah. What were their names, Jim? Would you share that with us?
Oh, Iona and J.C. Ball.
JC.
And J.C. had a nickname for Iona, which was Oni. So I always called her Oni.
Well, that explains it. It sounds like that was the expression of pure love that you had in your life at that time.
Yeah,
Would you say so?
They treated me better than my parents.
Yeah.
They were totally accepting. And because I was so young, they and their friends were very natural around me. Mm-hmm. Even living in Oakland for 40 years, I never experienced a sense of being so present in a different culture.
Mm-hmm. And it was a non-judgmental love.
Oh yeah, they were very laid back.
You.
They had that Louisiana kind of laid back style.
The second section of your book, I notice, is called Psychedelic. I guess we can guess where that came from. Would you like to tell us about that?
That's probably pretty obvious. Well, it all began one summer night in 1965 when Denise, a friend of mine, called me up and said, hey, there's this guy up in Berkeley who guides trips with this new mind-expanding drug that nobody's ever heard of. And do you want to come tonight? And I didn't know anything about it, so I said, sure, okay. So we drove up to Berkeley, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, we took these pills, which of course turned out to be LSD. It was very intense, and then after that, yes, I became part of the LSD movement, so my paintings and the poems reflected that. We also got into Buddhism. It kind of went along with the psychedelic thing, so I wrote poems like The Last Bardo. Bardo was a Buddhist term.
Okay, I understand. Now, I'm also noticing that every poem is accompanied by a picture. How did that all come about? How would you make the choices?
Well, I figured they do print on demand now, so it didn't cost any more. And once they put my self-portrait on the cover, I thought I might as well put the paintings. Now, I will say that they chose which poems the paintings went with. I might not have made that choice. I wrote a very humorous poem about meditating, and they put a very serious poem, a very serious painting up there. So it was okay. I took a lot of classes in painting. I'm pretty skilled, but it's a hobby.
I understand. Well, I think that in your own way, you were an art prodigy at a very young age.
Oh yeah, I forgot, we left that out. When I was little, I loved to draw, so my father would bring me a pad of paper, which he called a fluffy.
A fluffy.
And when I was 12, my parents enrolled me in adult art class, and I got into a regional show, but when they found out my age, they yanked the painting. It happened to be of jazz musicians, which was kind of ironic. They had no pupils in their eyes and no legs, which was very expressive, but I was only 12 years old, so.
Well, I've seen many of your paintings of jazz musicians, and it really impresses me because I'm a jazz lover from way back, so spoke to me. Okay, poetry and art, marvelous. Yes, now tell me a little bit about what you're working on right now, what your next project's going to be.
Well, there's a couple of things. I am working on a second portrait of my deceased girlfriend, Judy Scott.
Oh.
And when we go through the paintings, I'll show you some of the background. It's not done yet. And I'm also doing a musical. So we performed it in Rossmore in March of 2023. Previous to that, it was done in Sacramento. Then it was done in Berkeley, and then back in Sacramento. And now on July 14th, we're going to do a performance at Eclectic Box, which is on Valencia Street in San Francisco.
Wonderful, wonderful. Looking forward to see Judy's new portrait. That's going to be really important.
Yeah,
and lovely.
I'm taking my time with that one. I like the two little paintings I did of the 14th hole. They're permanently hanging, one at Creekside Grill when you first come in and one in the Rossmore News office. But you don't even notice them. They're just completely innocuous, and that's kind of what I like about them.
I'm going to have to go seek those out because I'm not familiar with those. Let's shift back to the psychedelic poems for a minute. They seem to be divided between spiritual visions and dark humor of one sort or another.
That's because, to me, those are opposite sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. So they're not really different, they're just mirror images of each other. So yes. I intersperse them. But
you also do some really humorous things, which I've enjoyed. And I love the way you can switch gears between the dark and the kind of silly.
I think that dark and horror is kind of comic. I sometimes laugh out loud reading Stephen King. And they're written in couplets. And the reason for that is when I was a creative writing major, I studied Alexander Pope and Jonathan Swift. So the satire is normally in couplets. So it makes it funnier.
It does. And then there's a section called Shadow. Can you tell us how that came about?
Sure. After sort of the early rock and roll era, And I stopped playing classical guitar, and I was playing rock and roll, and punk music came in. So I got on the bandwagon with the punk music, and I wrote a lot of very dark lyrics, and we performed a lot of them. And I put them in the book as poems, because lyrics are poems.
Of course.
And I decided to title it The Shadow, because Carl Jung has a theory that everybody has a dark side, which he calls the shadow. And if you don't acknowledge it, you internalize it, and it affects your personality negatively. So I thought that was a good way to title that section.
Okay, then there's something else I have to ask you about, and I happen to have it right here. And it's quite a spectacular piece of
You have
art.
to hold it this way.
Is it upside down? It may be upside down. This is an amateur production, excuse us. But I think this is absolutely stunning, and I love the colors. And tell me about the representation.
So there's a story behind this. In 1988, I smuggled $2,000 cash into Dharamsala. There were a lot of Tibetan monks that I knew that were refugees, and they gave me that as a thank you gift.
Well,
So it was hanging on my wall for all those years, and I was taking a class with Bobby Ashubal, Acting Our Lives, and she gave an assignment to write something for a goddess. So, of course, I picked green Tara. Now, I have to be honest, I had to look up the symbolism because I didn't know. And I used that symbolism to put across the message that I wanted to say. So this poem or piece, Green Tara, is a dialogue back and forth. And I'd like for you to be the goddess.
Oh. It would be my honor.
All right, here's Green Tara. I traveled the centuries in time along the darkest of trails, from the mountaintop of desolation to the forest of gloom. War, plague, famine, and destruction of God's creatures have befallen me. As I felt the hatred from the other, I responded with my hatred for the other. Finally, I came upon a meadow of great stillness. In that moment of eternity, there sat a peaceful goddess of gentle smile, resplendent, glowing green. Who are you?
I am Green Tara, the goddess of mercy, compassion, rescuer, and savior. You have come to me in your right time.
What do you mean by that? I have wandered for all the centuries. I am no nearer to peace.
See my right hand, palm up, holding the upala flower. From it I radiate sublime realizations. These I grant to you. Use it to find your peace and wisdom.
But I have suffered so long. I'm not ready. My mind is filled with agony, fear, and malice.
See my left hand, raised to greet, and take refuge in the Buddha and Dharma. This is your vehicle for strength and wisdom.
But I continue to shriek and howl. My anger lashes out ahead of me. I cannot control it.
Behold the red nectar on my throat. Allow the beams that emanate from it to strike your own throat and quiet your fears and distress. If you do so, your obstructions will be purified, and the will of the higher good will bathe you in its mercy. From there, you can accomplish the healing you have been longing for since the beginning of time.
But my body and soul cry out to me. You are willful. Your heart will never be tamed. I am hindered by my anger, jealousy, attachment, and pride.
Observe the amulet hanging from my heart. Allow it to purify the negative karma of your mind.
But I am not alone. There are snakes, lions, fire, and evil spirits that growl at the sunrise. At night, they ride the moon into a watery pit of doom. Hades abounds around me.
See my outstretched right leg? It is pressing down to subdue these hindrances. It is my gift to you. Draw your inner strength and courage from it.
As I pondered the meaning of her last words, Goddess Green Tara slowly faded in front of my eyes, leaving only the empty meadow. I was left alone to fathom my future. Will I be up to the challenge? I left the meadow and sought others along the trail.
Well, not often I get to play the part of a goddess. Thank you. I remember hearing you recite this at your Jassical concert
Yes,
not long ago.
That was the last time I recited it with Judy, and it was the last time we performed together.
Oh my, that is touching.
And we had a saxophone player that played over us, kind of like beatnik poems.
That's
that
remarkable.
was really good.
I remember that. I love that there are reproductions of your paintings of all the poems. Could we just look at some slides of your paintings?
Sure.
Tell us a little about them.
You don't have to ask twice about looking at my paintings. So this first painting is very large, and it's difficult to get a photo of it. So this is the High Priestess, the number 2 card in a tarot deck, full of symbolism, and this is my take on it. So this is a picture of the full painting, and then here's the goddess herself. I borrowed a little from Hindu art, where they have different arms, and there's I try to cover everything. There's a peace pipe, a Native American. The thing in her left hand is a purba and an ankh, and so on. Let me go forward here. Here's a little close-up of her face. Spent quite a bit of time trying to render that. And she's holding the universe in her lap. This is what's called a purba. So that's over her left hand. Yes. And it's less than an inch high, and the painting is like 4 feet by 5 feet. So I used a brush with 1 bristle and 2 magnifying glasses to be able to do that. It's really, really tiny in the painting. You can see the texture of the canvas.
It's astounding.
No, I won't do that again. This over her shoulder is the moon. The columns, everything is yin and yang in the card and in my painting. So this is the yang side, with the dark, as you can see. And on the other side, if you can see where the heart and the lightning bolt are, that's the yin side. The lightning bolt just came to me as I was doing the painting. This next painting is from the same era. So this was all in late 1980s. And it also is just a lot of symbols. Don't ask me what. Obviously, there's a crystal in the middle because my wife and I ran a crystal store. This painting was done for a friend of mine who I was a caregiver for many years before she died. The pyramid was in a cemetery near where I lived, and that's her spirit. This is a painting of my roommate after 100 hits of LSD. I have another one of him that looks a little more normal. Also is a aerial view of the coastline of Chicago. Don't ask me how I came up with that, but that's what that is. This is Dwight Stone. He commissioned me to do this painting of him. A lot of people around Rossmore have seen him play. Very good piano player and composer. I got into doing paintings of other musicians, especially jazz musicians, just as a testament to them. I wanted to acknowledge them all. So here's Mads Tolling. Mads and I had 4 recording sessions. We made 4 different CDs, and I did this painting of him while we were working together. This is Cliff Payne. He's a singer, also a very good guitar player, and I played with him at the Orinda Jazz Festival, so I did this painting of him. Obviously, this is Janis Joplin. This painting right now is hanging down at Creekside Grill as part of their exhibit. When you first walk in, you'll see that. This is my friend Nika Richo. She's a jazz flute player. And she's not related to Kermit the Frog.
I see. No.
This is a very, very famous jazz piano player, Taylor Egsty, who also played at a different Orinda Jazz Festival.
I've heard Taylor, yes.
Yeah, he's down at Stanford. He's amazing. Very modern. Miles Davis.
Of course.
Jimi Hendrix, who I saw live. But honestly, I think he was so stoned on acid he didn't know where he was. I sold this painting. It was in Creekside Grill. This is my self-portrait. You got to have one of those. And of course, it's on the cover of the book.
Right here on the cover, yes.
This is a little better reproduction than what they did on the cover. This is the painting I was talking about, the 14th hole. So this is very small. It's like 6 inches by 6 inches. And the other one is similar, but has different cloud formation. You know, I did 2 of them. Since I did the painting, that tree has come down. It fell, so you don't have that branch anymore. This was just a sort of off the top of my head landscape. For no particular reason. I lay the canvas down flat to do the clouds, kind of poured it over. So these last ones are part of my portrait for Judy. Nice. They're very, very small on the painting. My nickname for her was Hummingbird because she was short, but very full of spirit. She was very lively. And also she was self-conscious because she had really bad neuropathy from the chemo and she couldn't walk. And Hummingbird was the quickest creature I could think of. So there's 4 of them.
4 hummingbirds?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through them. So that's one that's over her left shoulder. This one's down more toward the bottom. And this one's on the other side, flying off in the other direction. And then there's one way off in the distance. It's very, very tiny on the painting. And of course, this, she died, so this is her spirit going off. So that's some of the paintings. Obviously done quite a few more. Thank you for asking.
Well, I'm stunned by the variety. You cover an enormous series of thoughts, feelings, places.
Right.
All of those.
You should see the ones I've thrown out.
So I know you have a project that's cooking right now, and I know it's taking a great deal of your heart and soul. Would you tell us what you're working on now?
We sort of covered it earlier. The name of the piece is Dancing with the Moon. It's a story of a homeless African-American Vietnam vet. So he's about my age, 80, and he's living in isolation out on the streets. And he has PTSD, and he's approached by a young runaway teenage girl. She's fleeing incest. And once they start getting together, then there's a long plot that goes along. A lot of other characters come in, a beat cop, a businessman, and so on. And I wrote 19 songs that were like internal dialogue. I guess I should say that I started this play about a homeless person, and I thought I'd do some research. So I went online, and I also went down to the Tenderloin and interviewed people. And I found the actual stories so compelling that I actually stopped working on the play for a year. I thought, I don't have anything to say, these people's stories. And then when I realized that I could express emotions with songs, I started doing it again. And of course, the play is about individual people. It's not about homeless, it's about individual people.
There are stories. Were you going to sing something for us? Did you bring your guitar today?
Yeah, one of the poems in the book is also pretty much the title song for the play. It's called Tell It to the Moon. This song is sung relatively early after they've met, and the very first night that they're going to bed, the vet tells her that she better bundle up because it's going to be very cold because the moon and stars are out. And then she sings this song before she goes to bed.
I would love it so much if we were able to hear you sing and play the title number for your play with music, Tell It to the Moon. Might we hear that?
Sure, it's in the book, and we have a clip of it, and I'll do it right now. When my troubles got me down, I tell it to the moon. And when I feel I can't go on, I tell it to the moon. When my heart is sinking low, I tell it to the moon. The moon, she knows my secrets. She feels my tears of pain. She waits in silent vigil for me to be whole again. And when my joy at last returns, I tell it to the moon. When I find myself in ecstasy, I tell it to the moon. She will dance with me among the stars, along to distant galaxies. My heart will soar forevermore. Never to
It was beautiful, Jim. Just beautiful. Now, I'd sort of like to do something for you and close my portion of today's interview by reading one of my favorite books, favorite poems from your book. I'll get it right. And it's called Spring Shower, and I just think it's lovely. And I know Judy sang it, And it's a special song for you and a special poem for me.
Well, I'd be very honored. Thank you.
This is called Spring Shower. Dawn shimmering light, air caressed by beams of yellow or white. Sleepy grasses wake to stretch their limbs, wondrous drips from dangling tips. Wind starts weaving through the trees, drops splashing on the leaves. Flower petals drink the rain. Glistening puddles burst in waves. Suddenly, sparks of sunlight speed through the clouds. Sweet aroma, earth's perfume. Rays of warming sunshine. Sunshine. Shine, shine, shine.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for joining us on Bookends in this interview with James Freeman, composer, artist, playwright, poet, introducing Questiny, A Lifetime of Poems. I'm Jackie Ewing. Thank you.